Have you ever heard of a disappearance so bizarre it seems to defy all logic? Today we're diving into one of the strangest prison mysteries ever recorded, a case that has baffled investigators for years. This isn't your typical escape story with tunnels and hidden keys. This is the story of a man who vanished into thin air from inside a maximum security cell. Imagine the most secure environment possible. We're talking about a supermax prison, a concrete box designed to hold the most difficult to manage inmates. The cell itself is a fortress within a fortress. The walls are thick, reinforced concrete. The door is a solid slab of steel, secured by multiple electronic locks that can only be operated from a central control room. There are no traditional windows, only a small reinforced slit high up on the wall, far too narrow for anyone to squeeze through. The ventilation system is a series of tiny gridded vents, barely large enough for air to pass. In short, getting out of this cell without authorization is considered absolutely impossible. And to make it even more secure, a high-definition surveillance camera is mounted inside the cell, recording every single moment, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The footage is monitored in real time by guards and stored on secure servers. Every breath, every movement, every second of the inmate's life is documented. This level of surveillance is designed to prevent any unexpected incidents, from self-harm to escape attempts. It's a closed system, a bubble from which there is no escape. The prisoner in this particular cell wasn't just any inmate. He was considered a high-risk individual, though the specifics of his crimes are often shrouded in the confidentiality of the case files. What we do know is that he was under constant observation for a reason. He was known to be quiet, rarely interacting with guards or other inmates. He spent most of his days pacing his small cell or staring at the walls, a picture of isolated monotony. There was nothing in his behavior to suggest he was planning something extraordinary. He followed the routine, ate his meals, and slept. To the guards, he was just another number in the system, a problem contained. Then came the morning that changed everything. It started like any other day. The night shift guards had reported nothing unusual. The prisoner was seen on camera sleeping in his bunk. The morning shift began their routine inspections, a process that happens with military precision. A guard approached the cell door, peered through the small observation window, and saw nothing. The cell was empty. The bed was neatly made, but the prisoner was gone. Confusion quickly turned to alarm. The guard immediately radioed for backup. The cell door, which had been securely locked all night, was opened electronically from the control room. Several guards entered the cell, their eyes scanning every inch of the small space. They checked under the bed, inside the small toilet fixture, everywhere. The prisoner had vanished. The first thought was, of course, an escape. But how? The steel door was still locked and showed no signs of tampering. The locks were functioning perfectly. Concrete walls were solid, with no new cracks or holes. The tiny ventilation grates were untouched. It was as if the man had simply dematerialized. The prison was immediately put on lockdown. Full-scale search was launched, covering every corner of the facility. Every cell, every corridor, every storage room was meticulously searched. Head counts were conducted over and over again. But the result was always the same. One prisoner was missing. The search expanded to the prison grounds, the perimeter fences, and beyond. But there was no sign of a breach, no cut wires, no tunnels, no discarded uniforms, absolutely nothing. The investigation then turned to the only witness that could not lie, the surveillance footage. Investigators, detectives, and technical experts were brought in to analyze every frame of the recording from the night of the disappearance. They watched hours of footage, seeing the prisoner go through his usual nightly routine. He ate his dinner, paced for a while, and then lay down on his bunk to sleep. For hours, the footage showed him sleeping peacefully. Then, at precisely 3:33 a.m., something strange happened. For a fleeting moment, the video feed flickered. The image dissolved into static and digital noise, just for a fraction of a second. The timestamp showed the interruption lasted exactly 0.7 seconds. And then, just as suddenly as it started, the picture returned. The view of the cell was crystal clear again, but the man on the bunk was gone. In less than a second, he had vanished from the frame. The investigators were stunned. They replayed the 0.7-second glitch over and over again, trying to find a clue. Was it a power surge? A technical malfunction? They brought in the best video forensic experts in the country. They analyzed the raw data from the recording, looking for any evidence of tampering. They found none. The glitch appeared to be a random, inexplicable signal interference, but its timing was just too perfect to be a coincidence. In that 0.7-second window, the impossible had happened. A man had disappeared from a locked room under constant surveillance. The experts were baffled. They couldn't explain how the footage was interrupted, nor could they explain how a person could disappear in that time. Even if someone had found a way to manipulate the camera feed, it still didn't explain the physical disappearance of the man. Where did he go? Theories began to fly. The first and most obvious theory was a highly sophisticated escape, one that involved inside help. Could a guard, or even a group of guards, have been involved? They would have needed to disable the locks, get the prisoner out, and doctor the camera footage. All within 0.7 seconds and without leaving a trace. Every guard on duty that night was interrogated extensively. Their lives were put under a microscope. Financial records were checked, relationships were scrutinized. But no evidence of conspiracy was ever found. Every guard had a solid alibi, and polygraph tests came back clean. Another theory was that the prisoner had found a hidden structural flaw in the cell, an undiscovered passage left over from construction. The prison was an old facility, albeit retrofitted with modern security. Teams of engineers were brought in. They used ground-penetrating radar, ultrasonic scanners, and even physically drilled into the walls and floor of the cell. They tore the place apart, searching for any hollow spaces, any hidden tunnels or shafts. They found nothing. The cell was a solid concrete cube, just as the blueprint said it should be. As the logical explanations dwindled, more outlandish theories started to emerge. Some whispered that the prisoner had never been a normal man at all. Had he possessed some kind of unknown ability? This was the stuff of science fiction, but in the face of a complete lack of evidence, people started to wonder, could he have teleported? Passed through solid matter? The investigators, desperate for any lead, even looked into the prisoner's background for any connection to fringe science or paranormal groups. They found nothing to support such a wild idea. Years passed. The case file grew thicker, filled with dead-end reports and unanswered questions. The cell remained empty, a silent monument to the inexplicable event. The prison eventually returned to its normal routine, but the story of the vanishing prisoner became a legend among inmates and guards. A ghost story told in hushed tones. The official investigation was eventually closed, the case labeled as an unsolved disappearance. No body was ever found, and the man was never seen or heard from again. He didn't turn up in any other country, his identity never flagged by any agency. He had simply ceased to exist. So what really happened in that cell at 3:33 a.m.? Was it the most perfectly executed escape in history? A plan so brilliant that it left no clues behind? Was it a massive conspiracy involving an unseen level of technological manipulation? Or was it something else entirely? Something that our current understanding of the world cannot explain? The 0.7-second glitch in the camera feed remains the only clue, a tiny crack in reality through which a man seemingly slipped away. The mystery of the man who vanished from a locked room endures, a chilling reminder that sometimes the most secure places hold the deepest secrets. What do you think happened? This is one of those cases where your guess is as good as anyone's. If you enjoy diving into mysteries like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.